All right. Hello, everybody. Very good evening. So, I welcome you to another live training with me on school counseling today. So, we'll be beginning within few minutes. We are waiting for our other friends to join and then we'll begin. By that time, I would like to have a brief introduction about all of you in the chat box. The option of live chat is available with me. So, you can mention anything about yourself, your name, your designation, your profession. So, we're going to discuss all about school counseling approach in this session. So, what is school counseling? How to be an effective school counselor? You'll get ample amount of ideas through this one. I'm very sure about it. So, let's go ahead. For all those who are attending your this session for the first time with me, a little bit about myself. I'm Pragya.Vijh. I'm a holistic healer and a psychologist. I have expertise in the areas of stress and anxiety management, and I also deal in relationship counseling. With my psychological approach, I deal into holistic healing, called as Reiki healing and tarot reading, to help people overcome their problems in life. I'm way too much passionate to help people heal themselves, for which I have my own venture in New Delhi by the name of the Blissful Soul, which is a healing service available to everybody. And I've been mentoring more than 15,000 individuals till date now regarding coping up with any form of stress or anxiety if they have in their life, any of their troublesome issues, helping them to come up as a very advanced and a developed personality and dealing with their issues by themselves. So, in this training on school counseling, we are going to cover these things. We'll be talking about what do you mean by generic counseling, who is a school counselor, and what all do you need to do to be a good school counselor. Then we'll move ahead with the skills of a good counselor. So, what all key skills you need to have in yourself. Then I'll be touching a bit upon the special children part as well, because usually in school setups, it is a sort of requisite for the counselor to deal with special children as well. So we are going to touch upon children with special needs also. Moving ahead, we'll be touching upon attention deficit hyperactivity disorders called as ADHD, which is a behavioral disorder as well. And then we'll be touching upon how can you effectively deal with parents as an effective school counselor. All right. So let's begin with the first one. Who can tell me what do you mean by counseling? What is counseling to you? You can use the chat box to explain your answer to me. It can be any type of counseling that you can adhere to over here. So, any form of dysfunctioning or issues in living which are coming to a person, you can use counseling to cure all of them. So, basically, it is a professional setup between a psychologist and a client, wherein the client tells you about their problem, and the psychologist or the counselor, like you are going to help them overcome their issue in life. and the way you help them is called as the term counseling. So, a lot of people feel that there is no difference between being a counselor or a friend because both of them have to talk and give suggestions only. But let me tell you, there is a major, major difference between both of them. A friend is your somebody who's in acquaintance with you, or maybe somebody who's known to you, and they listen to your problems and they give you suggestions. On the other hand, a counselor is into a formal professional setup with you, which has its own guidelines. For example, the counselor is not allowed to be judgmental. The counselor cannot poke much about any part which the client doesn't want to talk about willingly. The counselor cannot exceed the parameters which they have related to each other's life. And majorly, the counselor does not give suggestions. A very important point to note down. The work of the counselor is to make the client independent by evoking solutions from within. So the counselor does not give solutions, they evoke the solutions which are lying within the client. So this is a part of your counseling. Now moving ahead to what do you mean by being an effective counselor? So these are the major areas wherein the school counselor has to work upon. Number one, the school counselor needs to identify and understand the issues which are being faced by the student. So let's say the teacher comes to you and tells you that, ma'am, this child is very aggressive. This child is very adamant. They don't listen to me. So, as a school counselor, you are not going to talk to the child that, beta, why are you so adamant? Why aren't you listening to the teacher? No. Rather than that, you have to work upon the underlying issue. If the child is being very adamant with the specific teacher, so maybe the child doesn't like that teacher, right? Maybe there is something which has happened between that teacher and that kid in past because of which the child is very rebellious towards that teacher. So you have to understand and identify the issues which might be lying in the kid's head because of which they are behaving like this with the teacher. Then you have to initiate and manage some preventive programs to help the kid. So, for example, you've got to know that this is the reason because of which the child is being very aggressive towards the teacher. Now you have to teach the student few ways to control his anger so that they are able to control the wrong behavior that they're doing, and simultaneously you have to work upon the incorrect thought patterns which they have. So you have to talk to them about the situation of past wherein there was some conflict between the teacher and the student, and you have to try to resolve them. Moving ahead, if you feel there is a need to intervene the teacher also in this situation, you can call upon the teacher and have a very frank discussion between the teacher and the student so that both of them will get to know where are they wrong enough. So you have to assist the teacher and the student to help them resolve the problems. These are some major roles that you have to work upon as a counselor. Also, one very important role is that once you feel that the issue is resolved, you have to do follow ups. Why do you think are follow ups important? Who can write that to me in the chat box? Why do you need to have a follow up regarding the technique that you have used or about the issue? I need you to brainstorm yourself and write the answer to me in the live chat. Yeah, basically to check that how much practical implementation it has. Okay, we have to check upon this that what solutions or interventions I provided to the teacher and the student, are they working upon it, or how much practically Are they working on that? And if your techniques are working or not, absolutely correct. So, this is the main point of doing a follow up. And then in the end, if you feel everything is going good, so then you can overall give an advice to the student so that tomorrow they can perform in a better way, and also you can advise the teacher of how to deal with students in a much better way. Now let's focus a bit upon what all good skills of counselor you need to have. आप में वो कौन से स्किल्स होने चाहिए जिससे आप एक अच्छे स्कूल काउंसलर कहला सकते हैं? नंबर वन, अटेंडिंग. It is very important for you to be much attentive about the needs of school students. So if the child has come up to you that ma'am I need to talk to you and you are busy in some of your own work, you have to put aside that work and listen to the child, because the child might be going through a lot of issues, और अगर अभी आप उसे भेज दोगे they might not come back to you again. So you have to attend to them very carefully of what they are saying. Number two, silence. Undoubtedly a very important point. The key skill of a good counselor is to listen more and speak less. God has given us two ears and one mouth for a reason. So always listen more, understand more what the client or the child is trying to tell you, and speak less. A very important point to be a good counselor. Then comes the third skill of reflecting and paraphrasing. Now, this skill basically means that you have to reflect back upon what all the child has told you by paraphrasing it into the form of a short story. So, for example, the kid has told you or the client has told you all of their problem. Then, in the end, you can paraphrase it all and say that to the kid and the client that, okay, you mean to say this happened with you. Am I right? Now, when you reflect it back, the client becomes very confident about you that, okay, the counselor has understood what all I am trying to tell them. So they begin to gain more and more confidence कि आपको उनकी प्रॉब्लम समझ आ रही है. So in every counseling session, this is not only about school counseling. Okay, this can be implied in every counseling session that you have. Make sure you do reflection and paraphrasing. They are very important for gaining the confidence of the client. Moving ahead, the other skill is clarification and using questions. So the fourth skill says that at any point, if you feel like you are not sure of what you have understood, kindly clarify that with the client. And not asking them directly, so you can use some questions also. That, for example, okay, so you told me that you met her on Friday night. Am I right? They will say, yes, ma'am. So you will get a clarity that, okay, what I understood till now is correct. सो यूजिंग क्वेश्चंस यू हैव टू क्लैरिफाई कि आपको जो समझ में आया है क्या वो सही है, इज दैट राइट, बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू टू वर्क अपॉन दीज इश्यूज एंड बी अ गुड काउंसलर. सो नंबर वन, अटेंडिंग. नंबर टू, maintaining silence. Number three, reflection and paraphrasing. Number four, clarification and using questions. Number five, focusing. Again, a very important skill as a good counselor. You have to be very much focused upon the time when the client is talking to you so that you don't miss even a single word of what they have uttered. Like usually when I begin all my sessions, I always tell my client to come at a place wherein there is silence and they can talk to me very much, into the right frame of that mind. Why? Because I want them to focus only and only on the session at that moment. And the same thing I do by myself. I have a separate cabin wherein I go and I take my sessions so that nobody disturbs me during that 45-minute duration. This skill of focusing helps you and the client to connect more easily as well as communicate in a better way. And you have to be very much particular about what the client is saying. एक भी वर्ड आपने मिस कर दिया शायद उसमें कोई इंपॉर्टेंट बात हो. Then we come to the next skill of building rapport with your client. Who can tell me what do you mean by rapport formation? Write that to me in the chat. What do you mean by rapport building or rapport formation with the client? Good relationship, okay. Communication, yes. So building rapport basically means that you have to develop a level with your client wherein they are openly able to discuss about their problems with you. Dekho, when your client will come to you or when the kid will come to you as a school counselor for the first time, they don't know you. Okay, you are a very new person to them. And it is very difficult for anybody to open up with a new person about their issues, right? So you have to make them much comfortable into that setup with yourself so that they can discuss with you what they want to, whatever is going on in their head, they can talk to you about it. This is a part of building rapport with your clients. सो दैट्स योर मेजर रोल एज अ काउंसलर कि आपको अपने क्लाइंट को या उस स्टूडेंट को इतना कंफर्टेबल फील करवाना है अपने साथ बाय डूइंग सम कैजुअल टॉक्स लाइक हाय हाउ आर यू हाउ हैव यू बीन हाउ यू नो how many members are there in the family, would you like to have a tea or coffee, tell me about your interest. These are a few ways through which you can develop a good rapport. And then we come down to the last skill of being a good counselor, which is summarization and immediacy. So, summarization is almost similar to paraphrasing, wherein this is to be done by the end of the session. You have to collaboratively put up everything in a summary कि आज हमने पूरे सेशन में क्या क्या डिस्कस किया है. And the last skill is immediacy, wherein we talk that if it is the need of the client to talk to you and urgently, or the child wants to talk to you, it is your duty that you have to make yourself free immediately and talk to the kid about it. So you have to be very much available as a school counselor for the kids all the time so that if they have any issue they can come to you and they can discuss with you about it. Clear up till here? Write a yes to me in the chat box, and then we will proceed with talking about children with special needs called as CWSN. You must have seen that nowadays CBSE is putting a lot of emphasis on children with special needs because slowly and steadily these issues are being analyzed and catered to. आपने देखा होगा अब ऑलमोस्ट स्कूल्स में स्पेशल एजुकेटर्स भी होते हैं. 10-15 years back कभी किसी ने नाम भी नहीं सुना था of who is a special educator. But in today's time they do have a very good demand. And the reason is that there are children with special needs in our society today and they need the help which can be rightly provided by a special educator only. But there are some places wherein the counselor has to work as a special educator also. अलग से special educator नहीं होता. Or otherwise, you should be having good knowledge. I always feel being a school counselor, आपको SLD के बारे में भी पता होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो यूजुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट अ स्कूल सेटअप स्पेसिफिकली, क्योंकि हमारे आज के प्रोग्राम का नाम है स्कूल काउंसलिंग. सो टॉकिंग अबाउट अ स्कूल सेटअप स्पेसिफिकली, these three issues come up with children. So the issue is called as specific learning disability. This type of disability comes up. The acronym is SLD. So what is SLD? Anybody? What is SLD? What all comes in that? Any idea on what is SLD? What comes in that? So SLD is a type of developmental disorder. ओके, एसएलडी एक दिन में नहीं हो जाती प्रॉब्लम अगर. इट इज अ डेवलपमेंटल डिसऑर्डर, सो दैट हैपेंस स्लोली एंड स्टेडीली विद स्टूडेंट्स एंड इट बिगिंस टू इंटरफेयर इन द एकेडमिक स्किल्स ऑफ द किड. बच्चे को पढ़ने लिखने में प्रॉब्लम आने लगती है बिकॉज ऑफ एसएलडी. नाउ देर आर थ्री कैटेगरीज ऑफ एसएलडी विच आर मेजरली occurring in school students. The first category is for the reading and understanding that we're going to talk about. Before that, I have a question for all of you. You think SLD is related to IQ. Now, is that a myth or a fact? So I give you a statement that SLD is related to IQ. Is this a myth or a fact? Answers in the chat, please. It's a complete myth. SLD is not related to IQ. IQ means your intelligent quotient. तो ऐसा बहुत लोगों को लगता है कि अगर किसी बच्चे को एसएलडी की प्रॉब्लम है तो उसका आईक्यू लो है. दैट इज रॉन्ग. A lot of researchers have proven that usually children with specific learning disability, they have intelligence which is above average in nature. नॉर्मल से भी ज्यादा आईक्यू होता है इन बच्चों का. That's why you can't call them being lazy or dumb or with low IQ. You can't say that. It's just that these children have issues in some specific academic area. Now let's try to understand what all are those specific areas. Number one part of SLD is called as dyslexia. Dyslexia means that when a child has some problem in reading and comprehending the thing. So either the child is not able to read what is written properly or they are not able to understand it by themselves. This is the meaning of problem in reading and comprehension. So if you're working as a school counselor या आपने अगर कभी देखा हो, it's very well seen that some students are not able to understand the question which is written in English. And the moment you tell them their meaning in Hindi, they are able to understand the question and they answer the question. So what went wrong? The child was not able to understand the meaning of it. इसीलिए वो उसका आंसर नहीं कर पाया. और जैसे जैसे उसे उसका मीनिंग समझ आया, the child was able to answer the question. So they had problem in reading and comprehension. A perfect example of this problem is Tare Zameen Par movie, wherein there is a child called Ishan and the tutor or the educator is Amir Khan, who is providing the role of a special educator in that movie. Over there, we can see very particularly in an amazing way that Ishan was not able to read properly what was written. And why? Because there are mirror images. डिसलेक्सिया में बच्चे के दिमाग में मिरर इमेज बनने लग जाती है. तो ई देखिए कैसा बन जाता है. A becomes the inverted A, P becomes the Q. ऐसे बच्चों को बी और डी में बहुत कंफ्यूजन होता है, उन्हें समझ नहीं आता ये ब की साउंड निकालनी है या ड की साउंड निकालनी है. They are very much confused between P and Q and they usually jumble up the words. तो देखो specific word becomes pacific because they are jumbling up the words. So, as a parent, educator, or a human, we have to understand that if such issues are coming up, there is a very big possibility that the child is suffering through dyslexia. And in these cases, you have to make sure that as a good counselor, you are sending the child for assessment. So you have to tell the parent that the child might be having this issue and you have to take them for assessment. And if you have a special educator in the school, then please refer the case to the special educator. Moving ahead, the second type of SLD is called as dysgraphia. When the child is not able to form a sentence and they have issues in sentence formation and writing, that is called as dysgraphia. So for example, I want to say the line in Hindi is कि मैं आज दोपहर को मार्केट गई थी और मुझे वहां अपने पसंद की चीज नहीं मिली. अब जब आप डिस्ग्राफिक चाइल्ड को बोलोगे कि इस लाइन को फ्रेम करके मुझे इंग्लिश में बताओ, वो नहीं बता पाएगा. They are going to speak something wrong grammar wise or they will skip the words. So they might say, I went to market and the work not done. So you see, a 7th or an 8th grader kid would speak a sentence like this. They will not be able to put up the idea into the form of a sentence. वो एक प्रॉपर सेंटेंस फ्रेम नहीं कर पाएंगे. और द सेकेंड थिंग, इन बच्चों की राइटिंग बहुत खराब होती है. So you see, they will be having writing something like this. या तो कैप्स और स्मॉल लेटर्स में कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे या फिर छोटे बड़े वर्ड में कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे या फिर लाइन से ऊपर या नीचे लिख देंगे. अपर केस लोअर केस लेटर्स, दे आर कंफ्यूज्ड अबाउट इट. So all these issues come up when you are talking about kids with dysgraphia. They're having these issues. And the third most typical problem in school students is called as dyscalculia. They have difficulty in mathematical operations. 2 plus 5 divided by 10 into 3. Answer blank. 9th क्लास का बच्चा फॉर्मूलाज अप्लाई नहीं कर पाएगा. 5th क्लास का बच्चा सिंपल मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशंस नहीं कर पाएगा. If you have a kid like that in your known, it might mean that they are suffering from dyscalculia. इशू क्या आता है, ये बच्चे नंबर्स में बहुत ज्यादा कंफ्यूज होते हैं. अगर आप बेसिक क्लासेस देखोगे, they have issues in backward counting. They are not able to remember the simple facts. A plus B whole square का फॉर्मूला बताओ, confused. They are very, very slow in performing calculations. 9 nines are, they will take time to think about it. So they have very weak mental maths. Okay, their arithmetic skills are not good. They have a poor sense of numbers. And that leads to a lot of anxiety in such kids related to the topic maths. Now, these are the three major divisions of SLD: dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. Now, what is your role as a school counselor over here? As a counselor, you can inform teachers these things so that they're able to reduce the anxiety of these special students in the classroom. आप टीचर को कह सकते हैं that she has to begin with more of practical activities. कोई भी टॉपिक है, कंडेंसेशन है, इवेपोरेशन सिखाना है, थ्योरेटिकली ना सिखा के एक छोटे से मॉडल की फॉर्म में प्रैक्टिकली सिखा दो, वीडियो के थ्रू पढ़ा दो. When they know that this child is bit weak in my subject, especially उस बच्चे को बार बार पॉइंट करके उससे क्वेश्चन आंसर ना पूछो. Reduce the anxiety of the kid. Also, The teacher can be suggested to call the child separately in her room and talk to the kid about what problem is he or she having, and then adapt to their learning style. So the maths teacher, if she is able to sense that this child has issues in maths, क्लास में उसको पॉइंट आउट करने की बजाय बच्चे को अलग से बुला के उससे पूछे कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है एंड हेल्प द किड, मोटिवेट द किड टू परफॉर्म बेटर. These are small little things that you can do as a counselor and suggest the teachers to do. You can take a screenshot of this and then I'll move ahead. These will definitely make the child feel much more motivated and they would willingly attend the period rather than being full of anxiety and try to escape or bunk that period. So your role as a school counselor is to make every child treated equally. आप वहां सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम वाले बच्चों के लिए नहीं हो, आप वहां सारे बच्चों के लिए हो. Now, moving ahead to the next one called as ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Now let's understand what is this all about. ADHD is majorly a problem related to behavior that you will see in school students. ADHD में three problems majorly आती हैं. So they show you an ongoing pattern, a repetitive pattern of behavior, which can include these three problems. Number one, the child may have difficulty in paying attention. तो ऐसे में क्या होगा कि बच्चा आपकी बात ध्यान से नहीं सुनेगा. यू विल फील कि मैं इस बच्चे को जो भी कहती हूँ, जो भी बताती हूँ, ये बच्चा मेरी बात ध्यान से नहीं सुनता है. दे आर नॉट पेइंग अटेंशन टू व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. अब टीचर्स को लगता है कि बच्चा ये कर रहा है बिकॉज दे आर नॉटी, बट एट टाइम्स दैट इज नॉट द फैक्ट. The child is doing that because they are not capable of attending to one thing for a very long duration. Okay, they are not able to pay focus on one task for a longer duration. तो 5-10 minutes क्लास में ध्यान रहता है, उसके बाद ऐसे बच्चों का ध्यान भटकने लग जाता है एंड वो कुछ ना कुछ और करेंगे जिसमें उनका ध्यान लग गए. मे बी वो फ्रेंड से बात करने लग जाएंगे, मैम को कुछ जाके क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे, बार बार मैम को पोक करेंगे. सो टीचर्स टेंड टू बिकम मच इरिटेटेड. इवन द पेरेंट्स जिनको समझ नहीं आता कि मेरे बच्चे को एडीएचडी हो सकता है, सच पेरेंट्स बिकम वेरी aggressive and irritated that why are you talking to me again and again, why can't you sit at a place, why can't you complete your homework, because that child has problem of inattention. वो इतनी देर तक एक चीज नहीं कर सकता. Secondly, ADHD students can also be very much hyperactive in nature, by which I mean that they are continuously on the go. Continuously. इन बच्चों में एनर्जी आपको बहुत ज़्यादा दिखेगी. They cannot sit at a place for a longer period. Have you seen such kids around you? Write a yes or no to me in the chat. Maybe in school, maybe in your colony. Very, very hyper. All the time they are running and playing and shouting. These children have sleep issues also. इन्हें नींद अच्छे से नहीं आती या आती भी है तो इनकी नींद बहुत जल्दी पूरी हो जाती है. So this means that the kid is very much hyperactive in nature. Such kids in school will go to the teacher often with issues of ma'am can I drink water? Ma'am can I go to the washroom? Why? Because they just have to move. उनसे बैठा नहीं जा रहा है एक सीट पे. Right? And the third and a very important part is impulsivity. I keep writing your answers in the chat so that I know that how much are you able to understand. The third part is impulsivity. This majorly comes up with the teenagers. And ADHD impulsivity means that you act without thinking. So these kids perform the action and they don't think about the consequences. So for example, friend ने बोला मैम पढ़ा रही है, चौक फेंक के मार, ये चौक फेंक देंगे. और जब आप बाद में इनकी काउंसलिंग करोगे दे विल से मैम मैंने तो सोचा ही नहीं था कि इतनी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी। They will ride cars and bikes in a very, very scary manner. They will do things without thinking about their proper consequences. कि मुझे हार्म हो सकता है, किसी और को हार्म हो सकता है। They don't understand this. And the third and the most important part of being a school counselor is the parent school and the counselor interaction. A lot of times as a counselor you will have to talk to the parent to tell them about some problem, to make them understand something, or maybe to suggest something about something to them, right? But parent counseling is not as easy as it seems to be. It's at times very, very challenging. So let's understand that what all areas are the ones in which the parent can contact the school counselor. पेरेंट अपने आप ही स्कूल काउंसलर के पास यूजुअली कब कब आता है? Majorly, the parents can come to you with issues like academic. The child is not able to study well, the child is not able to perform well in exams. New school registration. So the kid is a new kid into the school and the parents want him or her to be well settled. ओरिएंटेशन एंड ट्रांजिशन, पेरेंट को बच्चे के बिहेवियर से कोई प्रॉब्लम है, पेरेंट को बच्चे के थॉट प्रोसेस से कोई प्रॉब्लम है एंड दे वांट दैट टू बी चेंज्ड, सो दे विल कम टू यू दैट मैम प्लीज हेल्प अस और गाइड अस टू ब्रिंग दिस चेंज इन माय किड। यूजुअली इस रीजन के लिए आपके पास पेरेंट आते हैं। नेक्स्ट, टेस्ट एंड इंटरप्रिटेशन। Very few parents will come to you regarding some test that they want to be done with the kid. SLD का टेस्ट हो सकता है, ADHD का हो सकता है, या फिर अगर उन्हें कोई करियर असेसमेंट करवानी है उसके लिए वो आपके पास आ सकते हैं। Also, the parents can come to you if they have any issues related to special needs children like the one we discussed right now. तो आपको ऐसे में बच्चे का असेसमेंट करके पता करना है कि क्या वो एक स्पेशल चाइल्ड है। The assessment is majorly the work of a special educator, but अगर special educator नहीं है then the school can tell you to analyze is he or she a special kid or not, or some other relation like relationship issues हैं, बच्चा पेरेंट्स की बात नहीं सुनता, very adamant, always fights with parents, ऐसे केसेस में भी पेरेंट आपके पास काउंसलिंग के लिए आ सकता है। So now I'm going to tell you a few things that you need to do and you need to keep in mind which are very important while doing counseling of parents. Okay, so number one is that parent counseling provides various types of therapies or techniques that you have to use. You can also tell parent over here that if they need to change their parenting style. Also, your conversation with the parents can go much deeper to understand the various causes, what is happening with the kid, and what is the solution. So basically, you have to work with the parent upon resolving the problem, जिसके लिए पहले आपको cause समझना होगा. So there are some do's and don'ts that you should, I will always say that you should keep in mind these do's while talking to the parent. So number one, make sure that you gather good amount of information before talking to the parent. देखो ऐसा बहुत बारी होगा that you feel there is a need to talk to the parent, आप parent को बुलाओ and they are very adamant, they are not so flexible. Now in such a case you might be tricked by the parent or you might not feel very confident of what you're talking about. So I always suggest gather good amount of information about the child, about the problem before calling the parent, and please stay calm. आप वहाँ लड़ने के लिए नहीं हो, आप वहाँ पेरेंट से फाइट करने के लिए नहीं हो. Please stay calm and make them understand what you want to. Also, try to know more from the parent. हो सकता है आप बच्चे को बहुत अच्छे से जानते हो, बट डोंट फॉरगेट दे आर द पेरेंट। उन्हें बच्चे के बारे में आपसे ज़्यादा ही पता होगा। So talk to the parent about the kid and try to know few things that are unknown to you maybe. Then analyze what wrong is happening. हो सकता है कि गलती सिर्फ पेरेंट की ना हो, राइट? हो सकता है बच्चे ने भी कुछ गलती करी हो. So analyze what wrong is happening. When I've been doing my parental counselings over these years as a school counselor, I always stay very calm and very positive with parents. उन्हें offended feel नहीं करवाना है, उनके साथ डिस्कस करना है. एंड ऑलवेज टेक थिंग्स इन रिटन. तो आपकी जो उनसे डिस्कशन हुई है, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर टेकिंग दैट in written so that tomorrow you also remember what all you have discussed and they are also able to recollect the important pointers of your discussion. Now, that's all in your basic introduction about school counseling that I wanted to cover. And I hope that you people must have gained a lot of knowledge and more confidence in being school counselors. Now, before I introduce you to the intensive training program, I would like to know how many of you would like to go in much more detail of this? You would like to know more about school counseling and how to imply all of this that I have introduced to you. Write a yes to me in the chat. If you want to know about more concepts of school counseling, the principles, discussing more real life case studies कि कैसे कैसे issues आते हैं, how to deal with all of those issues, what are the various techniques that you can use as a school counselor, what is the entire process of school counseling. Also, if you have special needs children, how to deal with them. If you want to know and gather more information about all of this, write a yes to me in the chat and then I'll tell you how to go about it. There are particular behavioral issues which come up with school counselors. If you want to deal with it, how you want to assess children with special needs as a school counselor. Okay, so I introduce you with the intensive training program. Okay, so the intensive training program of school counseling is going to cover all of this that I've just told you. We'll be covering all these things. With this, we will be covering about what are more techniques to deal with special children or with behavioral problems like anger management, stress management, relationship issues, parental problems. How, as an effective counselor, can you guide the child about it? How can you treat them well? And from step one till step last of this entire procedure, how to begin with the counseling, how to end with the counseling. All of this I will be teaching you in the intensive training program, which is dated from 22nd to 26th of February. So, all those who are interested, please listen to this very carefully. Will be in from 22nd to 26th of February. So, it is a 1 week program. It will take place in evening as per the Indian time, 7 to 8:30 p.m. IST. We will be having this session. And with all of that I've told you, with that, what more will you learn? You will get your e-certificate. You will get the entire presentation and notes that I will be discussing. You will be getting the recordings. So if you miss the session any day, you can have the recordings. Complete learning material will be provided to you for everything, for all these things. So that's a wholesome approach to be an effective counselor. And I assure you that after that, you will not need to go anywhere else to know any more things about being a school counselor. That's going to be enough. Now, how to join? The energy exchange that I'm taking from others dates to 2999. But for you people who are attending this session with me right now, the discounted price for you is 1499. So in only 14.99 you can gain all of this that I've just told you. But the condition is that this is valid only for the next 10 minutes with me. So 14.99 price is valid to you for now only. You can Paytm or Google Pay me the amount on this number and send me a screenshot on WhatsApp. Right away, I'm going to confirm you your seat. See, I have limited seats in all the sessions. I don't take more than a batch of a specific number. So if you want to fix your seat, kindly complete the payment right now and write to me in the chat that ma'am, I have enrolled. I will check your payment and I'll confirm it to you. By that time, if you have any questions, you can write that to me in the chat and I will answer it. 10 minutes to complete this payment, please. Thank you so much, Karthi. See, Mr. I think that's Miss Farzana. Farzana, doing only a diploma is not enough. You have to do your master's in psychology. That will make you a psychologist. And after that, I suggest do a diploma in guidance and counseling. That can be done from a lot of universities. That will excel you as a, I would say, school counselor with a proper degree in hand. There is no need to go for only RCI licenses, even Jamia University, even DU, and a lot more Amity University. They are also providing you diplomas. So you can do your diploma in guidance and counseling from any of these universities. That will excel you as a good counselor. Duration of a school counseling session. See, if you're talking about this one, I'm confused about your question, Alfonso. If you're asking about this one, we have it from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Otherwise, if you have a guidance session with a child, I will suggest don't exceed 20 to 25 minutes, depending upon the age. If it is a primary grade kid, 15 minutes. Child up till age grade of ninth or 10th, 30 to 35 minutes are enough. 11th, 12th kid, maximum 40 minutes. More techniques I will be able to discuss only in the intensive program, Miss Farzana Parveen. You can join it. The details are right there. I've got 3 screenshots, people. I'll be confirming it to you after the session for sure. Anybody else who's paying, make sure that you send me the screenshot. इस सेशन के बाद सेम प्राइस वैलिड नहीं होगा. So if you're very sure you want to join it, kindly pay. Any more queries? And I have 2 very more important updates for you people, so please stay over here. I would also like to know that how was the session for you people? Did you understand? Did you enjoy the session? I would like to have your feedbacks, please. Okay, there's a query that, ma'am, I am not in town today, that's why unable to complete the payment. Can I do that tomorrow? See, though I'm not applying this notion, but still, if you feel that there is some genuine problem like that, so you can complete your payment by tomorrow morning. But please don't exceed that. Tomorrow morning, for sure, I need your payment. Okay, so it's a gifting time with me, people. For all those who are there in this session with me, there is a small little gift that I want to give to everybody. So I'm posting the links of 3 social media platforms in the chat box right now. The work is that you have to follow all of them, come back and write D3 to me in the chat box. I am also pinning the message so that it is easier for you to find. You have to just simply follow all the links and come back and write D3 in the chat to me. The one who follows all the links first will be surely getting a gift from our side after the session's end. So you have 2 minutes to complete it, and your time starts now. Exactly 2 minutes to follow all the links. So if it's YouTube, subscribe it. If it is Facebook or Instagram, just follow the page, and that's all. Thank you, Amrita. Thank you, Ravindranath. Thank you, everybody, for your lovely responses. Thank you, Karthi. Yes, Mr. Suram, if you want to do the assessment, though it is a part of a clinical psychologist, but otherwise you can use the scales of NIMHANS. NIMHANS is very good to check SLD. I used to do that long back. That's really nice in my internship days and in my work experience for sure. Hurry up, people, D3s. 1 minute left. Okay, I've got three more screenshots. I'll confirm you the payment after the session for sure. Thank you, Shubhra. Love you, dear. You've been one of my very consistent students. People jaldi say D3s, I'm waiting for that to gain your gifts. I'll mention the links again. Okay, and by that time, one very important update about your certificates also. Now, all of you who have paid for your certificates with me, okay, those who have paid for it, you will be receiving your certificates within 10 working days on the email ID that you have mentioned in the Google form. आपने Google form fill करा होगा as I told you. अगर आपने उसमें एक राइट ट्रांजैक्शन आईडी फिल करी है, you will get your certificates within 10 working days on your email ID. अगर आपने फॉर्म में कुछ भी गलत फिल किया होगा एंड इफ आई एम नॉट एबल टू ट्रेस योर पेमेंट, तो आपको आपका सर्टिफिकेट मेल पे नहीं मिलेगा. So please wait for 7 to 10 days. If you don't get it, then you ping me on WhatsApp with your payment screenshot. I will check your payment and we will give you the certificates. So please have some patience with us for good 10 working days. After that, if you don't get your certificate, you can come back to me and I will check that what was the issue with your payment. D3 jaldi, I'm waiting for it. And the last thing is that if anybody feels that you haven't paid for the certificate till now but you want it, so for example a school counselor के लिए आपको अपना certificate चाहिए, so it's only rupees 50 that you have to pay for gaining the certificate. So for every workshop it was rupees 50, and the Google form link I'm putting it as pin now. The Google form link I am mentioning, you can simply go and register over there for your certificate, follow all the steps as mentioned, and you'll be getting your certificate. Thank you, Miss Radhika. That's all from my side for the day, people. और कोई doubts हैं, queries हैं, you're more than welcome. हाँ जी, मैं काउंसलिंग देती हूँ. Yes, there's a question about that. I do provide counseling. Audio call sessions and video call sessions are available. In-person meeting I also do at my clinic in Delhi. But if you are somebody who's not living in Delhi, audio video call sessions से आप connect कर सकते हैं. You can just ping me on the same number 9205171983, and whatever are your issues, they can be cleared. Recordings will stay on YouTube, so if you want to look at it later, you can. Okay, I can't see any more questions coming up. So thank you people for your lovely presence with me for the day. Kindly stay in the WhatsApp groups. All the information will be sent to you there only about the certificate and upcoming workshops also. We are going to have a lot of free upcoming workshops. So we'll notify you about that there. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.